continue the Maimer Xhodsh. Yesterday we spoke about the three different ways of changing the world. Iskafia is one way, which is more milamata lamaila, changing the world by convincing and changing the world from within, but we didn't really change it fully. We just forced it and overpowered it. We subdued it. Ishafcha comes milamayla lamata, from above. That's bringing a higher light in order to change the world, a light which is above the world, but that sort of makes the world go out of its existence. That's not really changing the world. That's just bringing something in order to make the world go out of its existence. And then there's a deeper concept, which is what Moshe Rabbeinu did with the throwing the piece of wood into the water, showing the world its reality, revealing in the world what it really is, so that it realizes and appreciates how far and how bitter it is, its existence, and the fact that it is distant from what it really should be, and as a result making the world itself want to come closer to the truth and essence of godliness. Now the Rebbe explains how that works in a person, which in essence is the most important thing, because before changing the world, and in order to change the world, we have to change ourselves. And avodas ha'adam, that's what Chassidus is all about. That's what the essence is. What do we do with ourselves? So we'll try to explain the concepts that the Rebbe explains over here with regards to a person himself. In a person, you have these three levels as well of how a person overcomes his animal nature, etc. Number one is iskafia. Iskafia means the person tells himself and convinces himself. And mostly that comes through learning Chassidus, through learning Chachma Likis, through learning about godliness, contemplating and reflecting the reality of Elokus. Through this understanding, recognizing the truth, slowly the person subdues his nefesh habamis, convinces it. Okay, in a practical level. A person wants to know, how do I change? I know the reality that the Eibishter is everything. But my Nefesh HaBahamis wants me to do what it wants and what it's asking of me. My Nefesh HaBahamis wants me to think that it's the reality, that it's the yesh, that the world is the reality when it comes to my livelihood, when it comes to the taivas and desires of the Nefesh HaBahamis, when it comes to everything around that wants me to say, yes, sure, Hashem is good, Hashem is real, but right now I'm the real thing. Understand me accept me as the reality of everything that has to happen. How do I change that? The first way, and we in essence need all three steps. Step number one is something that I do by learning Chassidus, by understanding, contemplating, reflecting the reality of Elokus, teaching the Nefesh HaBahamis, and it has to be a process, and in a sense a slow process, step by step. That's one of the things we do with Sfiras Oimer. Sfiras Oimer, Zusfartem Lochem, we must shine, cause our Nefesh HaBahamis to shine. Lochem, usfartem, shine the lochem. How do we do it? By polishing. There's a famous story of the Alter Rebbe and the idea of the woman that sent the coins for Maimed with a bracha, a request for tzlacha and changing their mazel with children and parnas, etc. But the idea was, the Alter Rebbe said she caused it to shine, she polished the coins. And the Alter Rebbe explained that the idea was Svartam Lochem, polishing the coins, polishing the Nefesh HaBahamis, polishing it with learning Chassidus, davening, taking the time to think about and understand Elokus is the reality. The reality is not the world as I see it. The reality is not everything that I think. The reality is I believe in Hashem, and that's how I do my business, and that's what it's all about, and that's the reality of everything. That's step number 1. Iskafia. Step number 2 is Ishafcha. How does Ishafcha work? So the Rebbe says over here, Ishafcha, in order to have Ishafcha, we need the koiches that a Rebbe gives. I can't do it on my own. And again, similar to the idea of Sfiras Eimer and Mitzvah Hashem, in the next Maimer, we're going to learn this more. But Sfiras Eimer has to be Mimachras HaShabbos. It has to come from a higher koyach. I can't come from within me. Because if it's within me, then it's limited to the me. I can't go out of myself. Iskafia means I'm forcing myself. I'm bringing in something deeper and the realization of the reality of Elokus. Ishafka means I want to change myself. I want to bring the Nefesh HaBamis out of his Metzias. In order to bring him out of his Metzias, I need something which is out of his Metzias. For that, a person needs the koiches that a Rebbe gives. A person connects to the Rebbe. A person gets this higher power from the Rebbe that causes this high light and energy that causes the Nefesh HaBamis to go out of his Metzias and to change his Metzias. There's a story that I heard at the time. I think this was Tafshin Mem Ches or Mem Zayin, 1988, 87, or actually 87, 86. It was Tishrei. And I was at that time in Eretz Yisrael, and I heard this story from the Bachrim who went to the Rebbe for Tishrei. And they came back with this story, that when they traveled, they met on the train a Jew, an Israeli Jew, and he was traveling to America to have fun. He was a married guy. He left his family behind, and he was going to have fun. And, of course, the Lubavitcher Bochum, Zachginuvitzem, and they wanted him to put on tefillin, which he refused. He says, I'm going to run away from Yiddishkeit, to run away from anything that has to do with Yiddishkeit. Leave me alone. He was in a deep, deep place of mud, in the depths of Klippa. Finally, the Bachrim, they had the whole flight, and they managed to convince him, one thing you'll do for us. When we get there to New York, you'll come one time to see the Rebbe. He didn't want, finally he agreed. Now the Bachrim knew that if they're going to wait for him to come at a later time, it will never happen. So from the airport with the suitcases, they put him into a taxi and they took him with the 770. They arrived in 770, and to their good luck, the Rebbe was at that time giving out lekach. And so they pull him on the line, and it was a long line, and as it worked, there were 2 or 3 different lines, and there would be one line would go, and then that line would start, and another line would go by, etc. And they're waiting for hours on the line stops and starts, and they're waiting mamish for hours. And this guy is standing with them on the line. And finally, it comes his turn, after hours of waiting, passed by the Rebbe. Now the Rebbe would take a piece of lekach, take it from the box, and put it into the person's hand. The Rebbe would look at the person for a moment and say Shalatevu Masuka, and the next person. It just went on. There was long lines, and that's how it went on. This person passes by the Rebbe. The Rebbe takes with his hands the piece of lekach, holds it on top of his hand, about to put it into his hand. The Rebbe locked a gaze with him, looked into his eyes for a moment, pulled the piece of lekach back for a second, and looked into the person's eyes, for mamish, a split second or a few seconds, and then gave him the lekach with the bracha. That second, pulling the lekach back, looking at his eyes, that just did something to the person. It broke him. He began to cry, and he remained there for the whole Tishrei. He went out from the Imkei HaKlippos, did tshuva. What's that idea? I don't know what the idea is. But the concept, one of the things that there is, a Rebbe gives a light to someone to pull him out of his situation. Sometimes a person is in a situation, in such a deep situation on his own, he can't go out. Like the Jewish people, when they went out of Mitzrayim. We were in Memtes Shari Tumah, there had to be the Gilui Milamayla to pull it out, to pull us out. Sometimes there has to be a koyach that a Rebbe gives, the oir that a Rebbe gives. That's what causes the ishafcha. That's what enables the person to transform the nefesh habamis. Iskafia, I can think on my own. I can work on it on my own. Ishafcha means to go out of my situation. For that, there's a koyach that a Rebbe gives. But that in itself is also not enough because I didn't change myself. So that's also a step. But I didn't change myself. I had a higher light. I was drawn to something higher and deeper, but I didn't change. Then there's another step. And the next step is to reveal and to allow my nefesh habamis itself, to allow my material existence, my animal existence, to realize the truth, to realize the bitterness of its situation. That's called Gilui Helem Ha'atzmi, revealing the essential, the concealed essence that there is, the reality of what I am, to the extent that I realized my neshama, when it was up above, it wanted a lakus, it was connected to lakus, that's all that was interested in. It enjoyed it. It enjoyed itself basking in the glory of a lakus. Then the neshama was forced to come down here and to come to a different existence. How do I bring into the neshama the realization of its real existence? Either iskafia or ishafcha, or realizing how bitter and far I am from what I really want to be. And the Rebbe says the following, that I realized that the Ra Umar Ozvei Chesavai Lekech, I realized the bitterness and the bad of where my situation is. I don't understand what Havaya means. I don't understand what a Lekecha means. I don't understand what it means Havaya Lekecha. I haven't gotten to that place. But I know that the way it is not good, and that has to change. Like the idea of Asura Mikan and Iskarev Misham and Tshuva Chassidus says there's two levels. I want to leave my present situation. I want to get closer to the next situation, to Elokus. Here, the revealing the Halam Atzmi means I don't necessarily know where Sham is. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what Sham is. I don't even know where I want to leave. But I know that the situation, the way it is, isn't good. I reveal the essence till the neshama itself, till the guf itself, the physical existence itself realizes that the way it is can't continue, it can't go on the way it is, and therefore it gives a push of how I want to get out of this situation. That's the idea of revealing the Halam Atzmi. Revealing the essence of who I am and what I am to the extent that affects me and changes me and makes me want to leave my present situation. That's the third thing. There, it didn't come from just the oil, which is not me. It came from within my very essence. But even that koyach, the Rebbe says that when Moshe was told, the Eibishter told Moshe to throw the wood into the water. It can't happen on its own. That also has to come through Moshe. That has to come through connecting to the Rebbe, because in essence the Helam Atzmi is something which is hidden. But because the Neshamas of Yidden have everything, and Milamayla, the Eibishter, doesn't withhold anything from the Jewish soul, he gives us even this idea of the Helam Atzmi. He gives us even the essence of who we are and what we are, so we can reveal it, so we can discover it, and realize and recognize that the way we are isn't good, and that I don't want to be what I am, and therefore that itself pushes me to change and to want to go away from that bitterness, from the Ra'u Ma Raz V'Chesavai Lekech, in order to get closer to the Eibishter.